Yahoo Finance's Adam Shapiro recently spoke with the father of the 401k, Ted Benna, for the latest episode of Yahoo Finance Presents, brought to you by T. Rowe Price. They spoke about the history of the savings plan, alternatives to 401ks, and how to improve your plan.
Ted, it's good to have you here, and I'm curious. First question, why do people refer to you as the father of the 401k?
The reason for that, well, first of all, Adam, I didn't put that label on me, okay? It was a publication. I think it was Money Magazine, actually. And, you know, I was a little hesitant in embracing it, actually. And but the reason was I designed and put in place the first 401k savings plan.
So I want to talk to you about, as we talk about 401ks in the future, there's this myth, and you talk about it in your book, 401k 40 Years Later. There's a myth of what retirement was like prior to, say, 1977, 78, that everyone had a pension, that that everyone became vested, when they in fact did not, in their long-term savings plans or stock option plans through their companies. What is the myth, and what do we get wrong about it?
There are a number of things about it. The first one is the fact that when you go back into the 70s, there was less than 30% of the private workforce that were covered by pension plans, less than 30%. And my first job was in home office of an insurance company that had one of those plans. And to become a participant, you had to be 30 if you were a male, 35 if you were female, Adam. And you had to stay until you're age 60 before you had any vested benefit. I mean, that was pretty crappy. You know, wasn't anything wonderful about that.
And people would get fired or obviously leave their jobs a couple of years before vesting. Companies would do that to people.
You had some companies definitely that were notorious for finding ways to boot people out, you know, before they got to that point. That's true.
So the 401k plan comes about because of the tax revisions that take place in the 70s. And kind of the basis, I think, as you point out in the book, were these stock option retirement deferred tax deferred plans that people had prior to 401ks. Is that accurate?
Yeah, they were known as cash deferred profit sharing plans. You know, that's the actual type of plan that this applied to.
So we get the 401k in the late 70s. You devised the plan that now we refer to you as the father of the 401k. And at the end of your book, many years later, 4 decades plus, you write, income adequacy will continue to be a major issue in the years ahead. In fact, every retirement system in existence will probably be severely tested. Does that include the current state of 401ks, in your opinion?
No question, Adam. It was never intended to be the primary vehicle for saving for retirement. And, it was only a page and a half long. It was it was a little fluky thing stuck in an end of year tax bill. But all these plans are subject to the ups and downs of the stock market. And it's very obvious with 401ks. But what people who are in pension plans don't realize is they have the same financial risk. They just don't know it. They're not aware of it.
And with a 401k, at least you have I don't want to say the illusion, because you actually do have some control over where that money goes. But if you were going to make recommendations to improve the 401k system today, what would you recommend?
The first one would be the fact that there's a lot of criticism that too much of the money escapes out of the system when people change jobs. So the first one would be to put a lock on that and require that when you change jobs, your money has to continue to be invested for retirement, either in a 401k or IRA. Another one would be to require that all employers who offer plans must use what's called automatic enrollment. That employees are automatically enrolled and their contributions are automatically increased each year. And the last one would be many people at retirement are going to have to make some really tough decisions about how to make this provide an income for their life for 20, 30 years. And one way to do that is what is called a guaranteed monthly lifetime income annuity. And I would like to see a tax break, for retirees, maybe the first $1,000 to $2,000 a month that they lock in a guaranteed lifetime income annuity, they wouldn't have to pay tax on it.
Many years ago, I read a story in which they talked about you, and I think they took a quote you might have said out of context. The headline was, "Father of 401k calls it a nightmare." Do you want to set the record straight on that? Do you think 401ks are a nightmare?
No, actually, what I was talking about was the investment structure. These plans evolved from being very simple. The first plans, you only had two choices, and you decided in multiples of 25%. So it took less than a minute for me to explain investment options, to participants probably. They evolved over a period of time into something with many choices, making it extremely complex, for employees to make decisions. And, the cost of investing just got totally out of control. And so that's really what I was hitting on here, when I said I would totally change if I were starting over.
I think the latest statistics indicate just 50% of the population today, the working population, has access to a 401k plan. And of that, only 50% actually fund it. What worries you or gives you confidence in those kinds of data?
Well, I don't have confidence in them. Clearly, it's a problem. And that's one of the things I mentioned about improving it, was to require that participants be automatically enrolled rather than having to decide to do that. That would ratchet up the participation level for those who don't have plans. Now, the other problem is the fact that 40% don't even have the opportunity. And that ties into another change that I would like to see, and that is a mandate that all employers have to offer some form of payroll deduction savings arrangement to help their employees save for retirement.
I have to start wrapping up, but what would one example of the option for a small employer other than a 401k plan be?
Well, one is a payroll deduction IRA, and I've actually figured out two different ways of being able to do that and have a matching employer contribution, similar to what you would get with a 401k.
As we wrap up, if you were talking to someone between the age of 35 and 50, what would you tell them about 401ks and with a positive spin? Is there something positive about it?
What I've learned over the years is the most valuable part of the 401k is it turns spenders into savers by making saving the first priority. And most of us, including me at the time, would never have accumulated what you do with a 401k, if you had to do it on your own, every paycheck. And, not taking advantage of that opportunity if you have it, it's just crazy not to do that.
Any last comments you might have for all of us who are in 401ks or people entering the workforce who might get a 401k?
Maybe the last one jumps out at me is I'm concerned right now with all the uncertainty around this, that those who are approaching retirement or maybe even in the early years of retirement, who are following traditional investment advice are taking a lot more risk than what they should be.
All right. Ted Benna, thank you very much.
All right, some news you can use there from the father of the 401k.